We salute their courage and refusal to be cowed by the rampaging lynch mob that has been screaming blue murder since the report was released. We do not intend to bore you by rehashing details of the discrepancies, innuendos, inconsistencies, and errors in that report. They are already in the public space. Let us, however, point out some key highlights of such discrepancies, errors, omissions, etc. 1. The report threw away the testimony of ballistic experts who testified before it. The experts said inter alia in their testimony, and I quote, "The team finds that from the medical and data examined, including the timeline of arrival at medical facility and the nature of the injuries sustained by the victims who were taken to the 5 medical facilities, that no military-grade live ammunition, high velocity, was fired at the protesters at Lekki Tollgate on 20th October 2020 within the time frame of reference 1830 to 2034 hours. I wish to repeat. The team finds that from the medical data examined, including the timeline of arrival at medical facility and the nature of the injuries sustained by the victims who were taken to the 5 medical facilities, that no military-grade live ammunition, high velocity in bracket, was fired at the protesters at Lekki Tollgate on 20th October 2020 within the time frame of reference, which is 1830 to 2034 hours. The report continued that the GSW gunshot wounds, injuries, 4 in number, between 1905 and 1945 hours, which were examined by the team, can be safely identified as being discharged by either low velocity caliber and or artisanal stroke 12 gauge firearms. Artisanal firearms are locally fabricated weapons. What is, however, certain, the report continued, is that as the military personnel deliberately fired military-grade live ammunition directly at the protesters, there have been significantly more fatalities and catastrophic injuries recorded. This was clearly not the case. End of quote. The same panel that said it deemed as credible the evidence of the forensic pathologist, Professor John Obafunwa, that only 3 of the bodies on which post-mortem were conducted were from Lekki and only 1 had gunshot injury, went on to contradict itself by saying 9 persons died of gunshot wounds at Lekki. 3. The man whose evidence that he counted 11 bodies in a military van where he was left for dead before he escaped was found to be crucial by the panel. He never testified in person. Rather, the video of his testimony in court was played by someone else. It did not occur to the panel to query the veracity of the testimony of a man who said he was shot and presumed dead, but still had time to count dead bodies inside a supposedly dark van at night. 4. The panel said trucks with brushes underneath were brought to the Lekki Tollgate in the morning of October 21, 2020 to clean up bloodstains and other evidence, but still found bullet casings at the same site when it visited it on October 30, 2020. The panel said soldiers picked up bullet casings from Lekki Tollgate on the night of October 2020, yet the same panel claimed that policemen came to the same spot to pick the same bullet casings on October 21, 2020. 5. The panel was silent on the family members of those reportedly killed, merely insinuating they were afraid to testify. Even goats have owners who will look for them if they do not return home, not to talk of human beings. Where are the family members of those who were reportedly killed at the Lekki Tollgate? If the panel is recommending compensation for the families, what are their identities and addresses? Who will receive the compensations when no family members have shown up to date? 6. How did a man who reported seeing the lifeless body of his brother himself end up being on the list of the panel's deceased persons? 7. How can a judicial panel convince anyone that the names of some casualties of the Lekki Tollgate of Tollgate incident listed as numbers 3, Jide, 42, Tola, and 43, Wisdom, are not fictitious names? They have no surnames, and yet they were confirmed dead. 8. Why did the judicial panel feel compelled to concoct a massacre in context as a euphemism for massacre? A massacre is a massacre. What is a massacre in context? Phantom massacre. That's what it is. 9. The report never mentioned cases of police personnel and soldiers who were brutally murdered, or the massive destruction of police stations, vehicles, etc. during the EndSARS protests. Does this mean that the panel didn't consider policemen and soldiers as human beings? 10. The report didn't make any recommendation on the innocent people whose businesses were attacked and destroyed during the protest in Lagos. I think it was too busy looking for evidence to support its conclusion of massacre in context. It is clear from the ongoing that the report of the panel in circulation cannot be relied upon because its authenticity is in doubt. Besides, the Lagos State government, being the convening authority, has yet to release any official report to the public. Neither has the panel done so. The cowardly leakage of an unsigned report to the public is not enough. Assuming, without conceding, that the report in circulation bears any iota of genuineness, it is basic knowledge that the report of such a panel is of no force until the convening authority issues a white paper and gazette on it. It is therefore too premature for any person or entity to seek to castigate the federal government and its agencies or officials based on such unofficial and unvalidated report. The CNN has been celebrating the leaked report of the Lagos State Judicial Panel of Inquiry. In its rush to claim vindication, CNN apparently didn't even read the report before rolling out the drums in celebration. By that action, CNN has celebrated prematurely and has now committed a double faux pas. First, by relying on unverified social media stories and videos to carry out an investigation of the October 23, 2020 incident at Lekki, where it did not have a correspondent on ground. That was the first faux pas. CNN goofed in its report on the findings of the panel, which fell below the main standards of journalism. Secondly, CNN rushed to the air to celebrate an unsigned and unverified report as is riddled with inconsistencies, errors, discrepancies, and innuendos. That is the double faux pas by a news organization that is eager and willing to compromise standards just to claim vindication. Sadly, a section of the Nigerian media has also joined the lynch mob. Honestly, an attempt to vilify government at all costs. They have done themselves a great disservice. How can any news organization worth its salt write an editorial validating this kind of report? Are they not seeing what others, including journalists and lawyers, are seeing? In a shocking twist, a Nigerian newspaper chose to hail what it calls detailed investigation report by CNN, even when the news channel did not even cover the incident of October 20th, 2020. It is a classic case of cutting your nose to spite your face. Conclusions. Gentlemen, there's absolutely nothing in the report that is circulating to make us change our stand that there was no massacre at Lekki on October 20, 2020. I repeat, there is absolutely nothing in the report that is circulating to make us change our stand that there was no massacre at the Lekki Tollgate on October 20th, 2020. For us to change our stand, a well-investigated report of the incident that meets all required standards and will withstand every scrutiny must be produced and presented to the public. The report in circulation does not meet those requirements. We also appeal to the families of those allegedly killed in Lekki at the Lekki Tollgate to speak out and come forward. It's untenable to say that some families did not come out because they are afraid. With the same families that are afraid and did not come out, will they collect? Will it be morally right for them to come and collect compensation on behalf of their words they could not even come out to testify for? Any parent who is afraid to testify about the death of his or her child is not worth to be called a parent. We reject the notion that our soldiers and policemen massacred innocent Nigerians at the Lekki Tollgate on October 20, 2020. That conclusion is not supported by the weight of available evidence. Indictment for murder is a very serious issue that cannot be done on the basis of allegations and corroborations, as the panel did. Such allegations must be proved beyond a reasonable doubt. The report in circulation is calculated to embarrass the federal government and its agencies without foolproof evidence. The federal government has never condoned the abuse of the rights of Nigerians by security agencies under any guise. Hence, it disbanded SARS and encouraged states to set up the panels to investigate reports of human rights abuses allegedly committed by the disbanded SARS personnel. The 37 policemen and 6 soldiers who died across the country during the EndSARS protests are also Nigerians, and they're human beings and should not be forgotten. Those who have engaged in premature celebration of the report in circulation should now go back and read it thoroughly and tell Nigerians whether it can pass any serious scrutiny. We are saddened that anyone died at all during the EndSARS protests, as the life of every Nigerian, and indeed every human, is sacrosanct. As we have disclosed many times, 57 civilians, 37 policemen, and 6 soldiers were killed across the country during the protest, and we commiserate with their families. Gentlemen, I thank you for your kind attention. I will now take a couple of questions.
Thank you very much. At this point, I would like to declare the floor open for your questions. Please, like I said earlier, you tell us your name, the media organization you are representing, and please restrict your questions to the issues addressed by the Honorable Minister in his presentation. Please, let's see your hands. Okay, 1, 2, 3. We are taking 3 questions for this press briefing. Thank you very much. Let's take you, please.
Good morning, Honorable Minister. My name is Jesu Ade from TVC News. We have been privileged to cover other briefings that you've held with us on this particular matter. And what you kept saying is we should await the report of this panel. You had so much confidence in the panel. What changed? Is it because it's not really in the favor of the federal government, or something actually happened? What changed, actually?
Let's take you. We just take the 3 questions headlong. Let's take you.
Thank you. My name is Leon Osigbe of the Nigerian Tribune. So just a few days ago, the president said he would wait for a reaction from Lagos State government to the panel's report before making a pronouncement. I'm wondering why you are in a hurry to speak on the panel's report when the Lagos State people and Lagos State government that set it up has not reacted. Secondly, the U.S. Secretary of State Blinken addressed the issue of this EndSARS panel report and urged the Nigerian government to be sure that it ensures accountability and address the grievances of the victims. So, by what you are saying now, are we to believe that the U.S. Secretary of State has been misinformed concerning the EndSARS, Lagos State EndSARS panel report? Thank you, sir.
The last one, please.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister. My name is Eniola Akinkotu from The Punch. One of the questions I would have loved to ask has already been asked, so I asked one more. Some human rights groups had called on you to resign over this, over the report, the details of the report. So I just want to get it on record from you. Are you saying you are not going to resign? That's it. Thank you.
Honorable Minister, you may please wish to give your response, please. Thank you.
I would address the last question first. I would have said I will address the last question first. I've had There have been clamors for my resignation almost from the day I took this office. So I take it in my stride. The second question talked about the report, the statement of the U.S. Secretary of State, and the President's pronouncement. The President's pronouncement was clear, which was that he will wait for the report of the entire, all the panels set up in all the states. He was not referring to Lagos State report. As for the statement by the Secretary of State, the U.S., the question to ask is that if that report was turned in by a panel set up by the U.S., will it pass the test? The first question had to do with what changed. Why are we not waiting for the report of Lagos State? Lagos State is the only convening authority, and Lagos State, of course, is going to issue its own, white paper report. I'm only commenting on a document which is circulating in public domain. A document based on which many of you have written editorials. A document on which people have contributed freely. And it's only fair that the government also puts across its own side. Otherwise, if only one side of the commentary is heard, that is what we believed. So this has nothing to do, and it is with no prejudice to whatever Lagos State is going to come up with in its white paper. I thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen of the media, this is the much we can take for today. Thank you, and God bless you.